Hey, welcome to today's episode of Brand OTC or Brand Over the Counter, where we answer your branding questions with a faux over the counter product. And today's product is called Audience Cure. It helps your brand pinpoint the perfect audience and eliminate guesswork. So if you're dealing with the following: wasted ad spend, low engagement, a confused message, or missed opportunities, this is the episode for you. Well, hello again. My name is Cynthia Akita, and I am your brand strategist, designer, and educator here at the Design Firmacy. And today's question is once again, how do I identify my target audience? Well, let's get into it. So, you have to know that not everyone is your customer, and trying to reach everyone is going to be the fastest way that you waste money. You will burn yourself out, and something you definitely don't want is the fact that you're just going to blend into the crowd. And as a business owner, you want to make sure that you can stand out against your competitors. And so you really have to understand that everyone cannot be your customer. So we're just going to break down how to identify your true target audience. Those are the people that actually want or need and will pay for what you have to offer. So I'm going to give you a couple of practical steps that you can use to define your audience, some ways that you can speak their language, and then position yourself as the brand that is the go-to for their solution that they've been looking for. And so if you've ever wondered, why isn't my marketing working? You definitely want to pay attention. So again, Audience Cure is going to help you pinpoint your ideal audience and ensure that your brand resonates with the right people at the right time. So when it comes to finding your audience, it's not just about demographics. I know, maybe some of you have heard the term ideal audience avatar, right? And it means that you essentially create the type of person that you want to serve, that you think will benefit, that you want to speak to. And it goes far beyond that. It's when it comes to identifying your audience, you really want to pay attention to finding people who align with your brand's purpose, your values, and especially your offers, whatever it is that you are selling to them. And so let's just talk about the first point about why everyone cannot be your audience. Now, when it comes to, building an audience, sometimes we feel as if we're being the mean kids, you know, think about like high school movies where you have the popular kids and then the ones who don't fit in, according to those people's standards, right? You feel like you're pushing people out, you're not giving them the opportunity to be a part of the in crowd. But in this case, when you cast a net that is just way too wide, it wastes your efforts and it forces your messaging to be diluted. It's very important that your messaging is specific to the people who actually need it so that you can prompt them to take some action. So, excuse me, if you are a bakery owner that markets to everyone, you miss the opportunity to focus on, maybe a particular sector of busy parents who want quick and healthy treats for their kids, right? Because you focused on something more generic. And, that could potentially work for someone, but I don't know how busy, most bakeries are just because they serve any and everything. The types of bakeries that I've been to have been very specific, and I know exactly the type of treat that I'm going to get there. And I know the type of treat that I'm not going to get there. So, depending on whose birthday I'm celebrating or whose event I'm attending, I know whether to go to one bakery versus another based on whatever it is that they offer and how that suits the type of event that I'm going to, right? And so, again, everybody just cannot be your audience. It's not a mean girl or mean, I don't know if they call mean boys. It's not a mean person thing. It's just the fact that specificity in this area is extremely important in order for you to get the outcome that you're looking for. Excuse me. So let's get into, how we can define our audience. So number one, you want to start with the problem that you solve. So your audience is going to be defined by the problem that they are experiencing, which is just normal life. We're all going through something. We all have needs. We all have desires. And so we are looking for the person that can solve those problems, and a problem doesn't have to be something that's so huge and dreadful all the time, right? But if I lock myself out of my house or out of my car, I would need a company like a triple A because I know that's their specialty. They know how to get me back into my car, right? And so you have to focus on the problem that your specific audience is having and how you actually solve that problem for them, because it'll tell you and them the type of solution that is needed. Now, when it comes to demographics, again, I mentioned a little bit earlier that typically you focus on, the gender you want to serve, the age, the type of income that individual is supposed to have, so that you know or can ensure that they can afford whatever it is that you are going to sell them, so that they can afford whatever the solution is to their problem. But you shouldn't stop there because let's be honest, you can have two people who are the same age, the same gender, and their lives can be completely different, right? Even if they make the same amount of money, and that's what gets us into psychographics. They have different values, they have different beliefs, they were raised differently from each other, they have different struggles, and they live a completely different lifestyle. And so you can't just focus on demographics alone. You have to consider the psychographics. Those are the things that help tie your audience member or your ideal audience to your brand purpose, your values, and then later on your offers. Those deep seated, the way that they think, those beliefs, those things play a huge part in whether they decide that your business or whatever it is that you offer is of value to them. And so it can't just be about their age, their gender, their income, or what school they went to. I mean, essentially, even the school that they go to can shape their psychographics. It can shape the way that they think, what they believe, what they value, and things of that sort. So you definitely want to consider both your demographics, but also your psychographics as well, because that's what helps them decide if they want to move forward with you or with someone else. The next thing is look at your current best customers. And so if you've actually sold something before, you want to take note of who has already purchased from you and why. And, take out the guesswork, right? Get into the habit of asking people, hey, why did you choose my business? Why did you purchase something from me? Why did you book this consultation with me? There were so many other people, I mean, you don't necessarily have to say there were so many other people, but a very simple and easy way to ask is to simply say, hey, how did you find me? Or what made you choose me? And so for example, a skincare brand can typically find repeat customers that are women who are between 25 and 40, dealing with acne, and not just teenagers as they first assumed, right? And so maybe their audience initially was teenagers because, going through puberty and all of that stuff, your body is trying to figure itself out. And so things tend to pop up, right? But if they realize that it wasn't teenagers actually buying, but people who were a little bit older, maybe because they could actually afford the product, then, it helps you to uh, kind of re-identify who your audience should be versus who you intended for it to be. And, sometimes that can be a little bit hard. Sometimes we don't like change, and that's okay. Change is hard. But as business owners and as CEOs, we also have to get ourselves to a point where we are not so emotional about the decisions that we make. At the end of the day, we want to make revenue, we want to grow, and sometimes you have to make decisions that are best for the business. And so, if you intended to serve one specific group, but then you realize that another group is actually benefiting, maybe it would be of your best interest to consider that group that is actually purchasing from you and to learn more about them so that you can kind of redefine and tweak what it means to be a part of your ideal audience. The next thing you want to do is listen to their language. So, for the people who are purchasing from you, for the people who have the problems that you are able to solve, you want to make sure that you can pay attention to the words that they are using, whether it's in reviews, in comments, or in conversations. For example, if your audience is saying, "Hey, I feel stuck," you don't want to say the word or the phrase, "You lack clarity." You want to make sure that you speak their language. And so you can curtail your marketing message to, "I help people who feel stuck find momentum." That's just an example. But you want to use their language to speak back to them because that is the language that they can actually understand. That's the language that they will appreciate. And you want to reduce the barrier to them coming to your side or to knowing about your business simply by using words that they use themselves that's already in their vocabulary. They don't have to learn something new when they are hearing about your business for the first time, second time, third time, because you're using the words that they use themselves. Next, you want to create an audience profile, which goes back to that avatar word that I've used a couple of times. So again, we're not just focusing on the demographics, but we're also focusing on the psychographics as well. So you want to include what their challenges are, what their desires are, the things that motivate them. And you want to make it as specific as possible. So something I like to do is I add a name. I pick a name, I pick their age, where they're from, how much they're making, and then I say a little bit about them. Maybe they have kids, maybe they're an entrepreneur that's juggling taking care of their kids, but also taking care of their clients. And maybe they want systems that save time without feeling so robotic. And so you want to get deep about it. Don't just scratch the surface. Really get deep, really build that person that you are looking for, build the values that they would have to want to engage with your brand, so on and so forth. Those things are extremely important. And then you finally want to test, refine, and repeat. This is not something that you will get correctly the first time around all the time. You just have to be a CEO, be patient, and understand that, excuse me, the data points are what help you to make the decisions. So when you have audience clarity, it's only going to come from real world testing and not just guesswork. And so while you're creating all of these avatars, you want to ensure that these avatars are ones that you can act upon. So put yourself out there, put your products and your offers out there, see who responds, and then run some tests. See if it's working, if they are responding, if the languaging and the messaging is reaching them. Ask people questions. Don't be afraid to ask people questions. Folks are willing to answer, especially when they want a better experience with you. And so go ahead and test your avatar, refine it, tweak it, and then repeat. Put yourself out there again. At the end of the day, when you know who you're speaking to, you will stop chasing people and you will start attracting. Pardon me, it's early this morning. But a clear audience profile is going to give you sharper messaging. It will increase the engagement that you receive, despite what channel you are on it. And it's not even specific to a channel. Engagement in terms of people doing whatever your call to action is, like whether it's purchasing a product, signing up for an event, so on and so forth. They will chase after your solution because you found the right people. And ultimately, it will lead you to more loyal customers. So, if you want to find where you stand with your audience and get more clarity on what you need to do, I want you to go ahead and take the Brand Vitals assessment by visiting mybrandvitals.com. But something I'm doing for you guys is I am actually starting my own community on School called Personify My Brand. And if you request to join and get into the group, you can actually take the Brand Vitals assessment for free. So go ahead and visit the link on your screen and also in the description to join our school group. Invite your friends, take the Brand Vitals assessment, and get a step closer to complete and total brand health for your business. So, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye. Discover what sets your brand apart, then say it with confidence. What's Your Secret Sauce is a free 3-day challenge designed to help entrepreneurs uncover the unique flavor that makes their brand unforgettable. Through guided prompts, live training, and powerful clarity exercises, you'll identify what truly sets you apart and how to communicate it in a way that connects and converts. If you've ever struggled to stand out in a crowded market or explain what makes you different, this challenge will give you the breakthrough you need. You'll walk away with your personalized secret sauce recipe, a clear, compelling blend of your brand's strengths, purpose, and positioning that makes selling feel natural. Join us by visiting brandmysecretsauce.com. You're doing all the things: posting content, updating your website, running ads, tweaking your offers, but still wondering, why isn't this working? Truth is, you might be focusing on areas that look productive, but aren't actually moving the needle. The Brand Vitals assessment helps you stop guessing and start targeting. It's like a wellness checkup, but for your brand. You'll gain crystal clear insight into the 9 essential areas every brand needs to thrive. No fluff, no filler, just facts about where your brand stands and what needs your focus. Because clarity is the first step to real momentum. And when you know where to focus, you start to see progress, not just activity. Get out of busy work. Get into brand building that actually works. Take the Brand Vitals assessment now. Have you tapped into your Firmacy benefits? As a beneficiary, you unlock special offers, gifts, and always stay in the loop. Subscribe today to receive your exclusive dose. Visit firmacybenefits.com.